Zuckerberg. Dude, you think you're going to get on Facebook with that type of attitude? Really? All right, here we go. Let's get this going. That's great. Looks awesome. And let's record to the cloud
Ooh,
so our overlords know what we're doing.
it's nice she tells you what's going on.
Yeah. All right. Let's make sure that we're up. We are up. All right. We're there. All right. Guess what? It's Whiskey Wednesday. Alex Koblan is here. She is the ambassador extraordinaire for Angels Envy. And I was just commenting to her. You could tell that cabin fever has truly settled in because we got a full crowd on a dreary February night.
Everyone's
And
getting
it
ready
was
to
like
tuck it in for a few more inches of
whiskey.
snow. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should ask. Is this somebody's Valentine's Day present, or because we're really close? John to his self. John, self love is important. John, we just don't want to see it. All right, let you out of the house. All right, so here we are. We got everybody. Everybody's assembled. Everybody got whiskey in front of them. All right. So I will say we have had a long history, Julio's with Angels Envy, and matter of fact, our first foray into this and our first barrel was actually done with Lincoln Henderson. We were just noting back on how
That's
this
incredible.
was this was done, and we've come a long way. I mean, Angels Envy's come a long way too, and being turned into sort of a powerhouse brand.
Yeah, little by
But
little.
but but why don't you give? Some people may not be familiar with who's never had Angels Envy. Not a hand in the house. Okay, that's okay.
Those are pretty good odds,
That's
though.
pretty
Well
good.
done,
That's pretty
everyone.
good. You're gonna have a great time tonight. I'll let you know. Those two people, you're in for a treat. Um, but can you? But maybe everybody doesn't know this and stuff. It's like, do you have like a little background of like how Angels Envy sort of got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, hello everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the story's great. I mean, American whiskey, right? Super historically ingrained in our nation's history, but we are a newer player to the game. We were founded by a father and a son, Lincoln and Wes Henderson. So Lincoln, we just mentioned, was actually our founding distiller and had worked for Brown Forman for over 40 years, created these iconic brands like the entire Woodford line, Gentleman Jack, and the Jack Daniel's single barrel program. Went into retirement and just couldn't kind of get over this itch that he had about not ever creating finished whiskeys. He was always really, really inspired by traditions in Japan and Ireland, where that was a really big aspect to their flavor development. And here in America, anytime he brought this up to the Brown Forman team, he was told, that's not how we make whiskey here in the United States of America. So Wes kind of told him, like, hey, Dad, I know you're really missing out on something career wise. Like, let's get the band back together and let's start making whiskey.
And actually, just so you know, the real sort of innovation, or and this goes really to the Henderson family. Um, there really wasn't anybody doing this. They had to basically go through to get this to be allowed to be done. The finishing of the whiskey in port barrels.
Yeah, the first few years we were on the scene, people really didn't want us to put the word bourbon on our bottle. They said it categorically just defies what legally should be happening when we're making bourbon whiskey here in the United States. So yeah,
So all the
long,
fun things later on that came about were sort of products of that.
absolutely, and that's definitely a defining factor of our entire line of spirits. I don't see that being anything that we stray away from, even though as of 2 years ago we do have a new distiller now, Owen Martin. It's still something that he grew up traditionally making things in the single grain and Irish styles of whiskey. So that whole blending finishing thing is something he holds near and dear to his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can now go to Angels Envy has a place to go to in Kentucky, which wasn't always the case. So you can actually go visit there if you're ever in Louisville. You can actually stop and do a tour if you can get one. See Alex.
Yeah, come find me. We'll make it happen.
They'll make it happen. But if you're, especially, it's in the city. So it's one of the few distilleries that's sort of easy to get to.
Yeah, we're
There's
right
only,
on Main Street. We were actually the first distillery in Louisville to reopen following Prohibition with a fully functioning facility downtown. And so now it's become what's known as Whiskey Row. I think there's 7 or 8 others
the new
now.
Whiskey Row,
Yes,
basically. Yeah.
yes. And so, yeah, what's now a
Right on the edge
$9
of
billion
Nulu.
industry. Yep. You
All
can
right.
walk there from right downtown in literally
Yeah.
9 minutes. So
So really cool. All right, they're gonna start getting itching. So we probably should start
probably
drinking. We
some
should probably,
stuff. Yeah.
we should probably start this thing. So tell us what the first whiskey we're gonna have tonight.
Yeah, so we're gonna start at number one. Amazing. So this is our flagship bourbon. The entire thing that defines our entire category, which we kind of alluded to earlier, our entire lineup is that we, after that initial maturation, are going to put our whiskey into a finishing barrel. So after 4 to 5 years, we're pretty much bang on at 5 years in those rick houses. We're pulling the juice out of there. And for an additional 6 months, this is going to see time in a used ruby port barrel. So we're getting those directly from the Douro River Valley in Portugal.
Okay.
Yeah. But this guy's clocking in at 86.6 proof. So, right, most of those bourbons out in the market right now are sitting at 80 proof. So we got a little bit more punch to it.
Why 86.6?
That
I mean, is that just some? I know it's knowing the Hendersons. This wasn't like an arbitrary number.
Yeah, Lincoln was a perfectionist. On actually every single one of our corks is a 10 out of 10. The numbers are printed on there. That was supposed to be the original release date of the whiskey, and
Yeah.
when he tried it, he didn't like it. He said it needed more time. So now we just say that that is the standard by which we want it. But it's great on its own. It stands up to ingredients and cocktails. So I think it's just another way to differentiate ourselves in the market as well. And I mean, who doesn't want those like fun mouth tinglies and you like start to salivate? Like it's just brings all.
Yeah, but
those-
it's just a weird number.
It is.
86.6.
That's a good question. I will reach out our global brand ambassador. Actually,
Okay.
her name is Angel.
All right.
I will get an answer for you.
No way.
Yeah, Angel.
You
tried
have
to-
Angel that
yeah.
works at Angel's Envy.
She was born for the job. I swear to God, and she's.
We don't
badass.
even have a Julio that works at Julio's.
You can fix that.
No, that's my cousin. It's not happening. Anyways, so what do you guys think? I'm assuming that most of you, except for a couple of you that have never tried Angel's Envy, have had this, right? Makes a really good. There is a real it is one of those type of things that does make a really good cocktail too. You can still the flavor sort of carries through.
Yeah.
Especially if you make a proper balanced cocktail, the flavor will carry through.
Absolutely. Well, and like the mash bill is what now is considered to be a classic Kentucky mash bill, and it's because Lincoln came up with it. He was actually the first person ever inducted into the Bourbon National Hall of Fame. And in the industry, his nickname was the God of Aroma. So he kind of coined and solidified that 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% malted barley in the canon of what is now considered to be classic Kentucky whiskey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like this. You guys like it? Yeah.
Doesn't suck, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a New England thing.
Absolutely.
Doesn't suck.
Highest form of compliment you can get.
Right. Yep. In New England, yes, it is. Only we always say only in New England would a negative be a positive.
The double negative is a positive.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess so. Yeah. All right. So the second one, this is the new kid on the block.
Yes.
I'll get another New England thing in there.
Let's
right?
keep them coming.
Okay.
Why not?
Sure. New kid on the block. So explain to me what the sort of reasoning behind this was and what the makeup of this whiskey is.
Yeah. So this is our triple oak. We just launched this back in October. So since the rye came out, we have not put anything new out into the market. Lincoln passed away 7 years ago. So for 5 years until we hired Owen, we were without a master distiller. His sons were carrying on these recipes and these traditions.
Right.
So we took the same base juice for the bourbon. So same amount of time in barrel, same mash bill. But when we pull it out, instead of putting it into a barrel that has seen a previous life, right? Like the bourbon with the port finish, this is all about what wood is going to do for your final product in your whiskey. And Owen's just a giant nerd, and wood is really cool. So I think when he was taking over the program before he was starting to lay down his own whiskey, it was a really fun way for him to explore that particularity compared to what the previous life of a barrel is going to do. So on this one, we are kicking up the proof a little bit from 86.6 to 92, so a little bit punchier. And then after those 5 years in that new American oak barrel, we're going to split it into thirds. It's going to see 6 months across the board in French, Hungarian, and Chinkapin oak. After that, we're going to reblend, and that's what we've got as our final product in the bottle. So that French oak on all of these previously unused casks, toasted and then charred. The French oak brings a lot of, I get baking spice, like a ton of cinnamon. Hungarian is a much heartier wood. Hungary's a little bit tougher than France, but I get a lot of these really cool confectionery qualities off of it. Some people get candy corn. I get like malted milk ball. The last week, all of a sudden, I'm getting like peanut butter. I don't know. It's changing as every time I try it. And then the chinkapin is actually native to the Americas, mostly grown in Kentucky and Illinois, but is the most mild of those three and is going to act as a bridge between those two more assertive styles of wood. Make sure they play nice. I get a little bit of like mentholation, a little bit of dill from that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll try our rye in a little bit. I think our rye it drives in its own lane in the category. I've been playing with this a lot in classic cocktails. I think it has more of a classic rye characteristic.
This one here,
the triple oak.
the triple oak. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's got that.
I guess some of that was
spice,
woody. It's got that
punchiness.
woodiness to it, that
Yeah.
wood spice going on.
Absolutely.
Not overly so.
Yeah, you don't feel like
but-
you're not necessarily like in wood shop in high school.
You're not
getting all that
not like
sawdust
sucking
thing,
on a church pew.
but- Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So, but in a good way. Now I got to tell you, this is my first time having because I was waiting.
Okay, what do you think?
I like it. It's really good.
Yeah, it's become one of my favorites.
The only thing, the only, I don't even want to say criticism. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's something that not everybody's doing, playing with 3 woods
Yeah.
and getting this on. It's just like, I'm always thinking like, all right, what's the next finish?
Mhm.
And there really isn't, the finish is wood,
Yes.
so it's like
Leaning into it.
leaning right into it.
Well, and Owen does a lot of experimentation out of the distillery. So if you do ever find yourself there, there's always something coming off of the rick houses that you can only get there. And he's been talking a lot about, he really wants to build out our rye portfolio. And so he's been playing around with a lot of single finishes of those
Okay.
individual woods, different combinations of these 3 woods. So I think he's using this as a platform and a stepping off point to see where he can continue to experiment moving forward with these different types of oak. Because once we do that American oak, we can kind of go wherever we want.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting adding the French, but you're only toasting the French, right?
All 3 are toasted to
All 3 is
level
toasted.
1 and
Okay.
then charred to level 3.
So who's here is sort of into the new, like this is sort of a newer thing in the last like couple of years is doing, a toasted bourbon or a toasted rye. Anybody into like looking for all the toasted out there? Yeah. I mean, they've gotten really popular and I like them for the simple fact is it adds another dimension without overly oaking the whiskey.
Yeah, and if you're ever lucky enough to go to a cooperage and you get to smell that toast, it's like the coolest s'mores party ever. It smells amazing compared to that quick and dirty char, which we all know the smell of. So yeah, it just adds that additional layer of like really lovely confectionery, marshmallowy caramel goodness. So just
really
another
nice.
way
I
to
like it.
soften it,
I like it. So now here the geeks are going to get geeky. They now want and make this happen. You have a job now. So when they split them up,
Yeah.
they want a sample of all the oaks.
That would be, I definitely see
So,
that coming down the pike.
I could
honestly,
see that
especially
being
at
in
the
like
distillery. Like a mix pack.
I
Yeah.
could see that being in a triple pack of
Yep.
of 100 mils or something like that.
Yeah, the 350,
just to sort of-
375s we did
Yeah. Or
the other year.
Yep.
So I think that's definitely something that is in discussion for sure. But I will highlight that.
We will take a royalty off of that. We'll take a royalty off that. No, because we do that a lot of times in the Lock and Key Society. We try to get these type of things done.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done a micro batch, but we've had the components also bottled separately,
Cool.
so you can sort of see
Side by
the
side.
components of that.
Yeah.
We've done barrels that's were aged from the same distillate, same barrel, same barrel run
Okay.
next to each other in a rick house, and then bottled each one so you can see the difference because they're very different.
Of course, side
So,
by side, up and
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Like,
So,
get crazy.
So a lot of that type of stuff, it's really interesting for a lot of people that are in the club. It's really interesting to see a breakdown of components.
Yeah. Well, and I
and
think
how
we
they
have
work.
the unique opportunity because we're not doing like 2 months in French, 1 month in Hungarian, 1 month in Chinkapin. It's literally 3 months in
Right.
each and then blended for consistency. So those separate components already
Are
do
available,
exist.
right? They
Yeah.
exist. So it's not
absolutely.
like asking some like really difficult thing to
Yeah,
do.
totally not out of the realm of
Yeah, that's
possibility.
like, Bacardi, make this happen.
Hey, Bacardi gods, Familia, help us out.
That's right. The chinkapin we've seen it a couple times now. But the chinkapin is still one of those woods that I don't think there's to be honest with you, I don't think there's a ton of it.
No, it's a smaller varietal of American oak, so it grows in a very specific region. So we're just fortunate to be located in that area. We're very mindful about how limited of a resource American
Right.
oak is. We have this entire program that we run every year.
Save the trees.
Yeah, Toast the Trees. Hell
Save the trees.
so
They've been a couple of these people have been part of that.
it's a really cool program, and we partner with the Arbor Day Foundation. We've planted over 300,000 trees to date. And there's no Angel's Envy oak farm out there. We're planting trees for everyone so that we can all keep drinking bourbon, making bourbon,
Keep it
breathing
going. Keep
air.
it going.
Yeah, all those good things.
All right. So the next one we're gonna do, we're gonna jump to rye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is before the new oak came out. This was the only other offering.
Yeah, just 2 full-time offerings.
Yeah, that happened. Now I always like the fact that you take a spicy rye and let's add it to a sweet rum.
Yep.
And that's sort of what it is.
Absolutely. And I mean, and until last year, this was super highly allocated. So we're glad that now it's officially full-time. But yeah, we take that classic, actually more New England approach to making rye. So Kentucky ryes tend to have a little bit of a higher corn percentage in the mash bill, but we're keeping it old school. 95% rye, 5% malted barley. So we're not shying away from that punchy, earthy, floral, spicy thing that rye drinkers love.
Yeah. And that is actually especially MGP made that mash bill sort of famous.
Yep.
But it really, for American rye whiskey, 95.5 is the go-to.
I agree. Well, I mean, it's a kick in the teeth. And
It's
and if you're
supposed to be.
broken inside, you want that.
Yeah,
You'd
exactly.
like a little something to warm you up.
All right. I'll get my my psychiatrist couches right over here, and we'll talk
just
about
go
that.
lay right down. It's perfect.
That's right.
So this is significantly older in age than our bourbons. So that first maturation in that new American oak, we're talking 9 to 11 years. So old rye to begin with. After that, this is going to spend another year and a half in used Caribbean rum casks. So we're using everything from the upper level of the portfolio of Bacardi rums, so the 8-year, the 10-year, and their Gran Reserva. So high quality rums. If you've ever had the chance to try any of those rums, these are
This is where it's symbiotic.
yes, and they
For
balance.
Bacardi, right? For Bacardi too. I mean, just like, we would like to do rum barrels. Bacardi, do you have any?
I mean, to your point earlier about that really old rye that you have, I'm sure that tastes completely different than this.
It is.
Because when
It is.
we
We're
were
gonna get
first,
to that.
it was whatever we could get our hands on
Exactly.
from the Caribbean. So sometimes you're getting blackstrap stuff. There's very little consistency, but now we have access to these rum barrels that are molasses bombs. There's tons of stone fruit, a lot of baking spice. And with that amount of time that distillate is spending in that secondary barrel, I think it kind of drives the bus on this one. I don't know about, I think this smells like a combination of like maple syrup on a pancake and cinnamon toast crunch. It
definitely gets some of the baking spices right on the nose, but it's like a candied baking spice.
Absolutely.
What's that? Good breakfast.
Breakfast rye. I take that.
Hey, listen, you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning.
Hell yeah.
Science.
Yeah, this in an espresso martini, delicious. Split base with mezcal, delicious.
That finish on that, you really start getting the it almost goes to like a brown sugar.
It lingers. That molasses is definitely doing some work and overtime, and right?
Yeah.
It's a long-lasting sugar.
Is this anybody's first time trying Angel's Envy rye? Yeah, a lot more people haven't come to the dark side of rye yet. I only say that because my name is Rye. That's good. I really like that. I think the spiciness of the rye, and by the way, it's also more important. Like rye matures younger, so a rye can be 4 years old and not have any graininess in it, and be delicious. When you start getting age on rye, when you start getting up into those like 7, 8, 9 years old, the spice changes a little bit and it mellows out a little bit. But then adding that rum on top of that, that rum finish on that, it really makes it more harmonious than you'd think it would be.
Yeah, that one begets the other, right? Like it plays well, and right, there's just less sugar in
Oh,
rye too.
yeah,
So
now, a
it's
lot of you just are trying rye. This rye for the first time. You like it? Who's not even had any rye before? Has anybody not had rye? It's
good,
America's whiskey, by the
good
way.
people. Yes.
So good. I'm glad
Love
you did.
that.
Glad you did.
Yeah, I'm a rye girly. I love rye.
Who doesn't like rye? Who's tried rye and didn't like it? I'll see you after class. But no, but the important part of that is that like rye is one of those type of things. Is when a lot of people say, oh, I don't like rye whiskey. Oh, you've had them all. It's not saying the same thing with whiskey. Oh, I don't like whiskey. Oh, you've had them all? Because they do, even rye varies very much in flavor components. So there's a lot, because it's still mash bills, right? This is 95.5. This is going to be one of the biggest mash bills you're going to get is 95%. If you see 100% rye, that means they're using um, they're using adjuncts to ferment it. So because it's very difficult to do 100% rye, right? And break down those starches into sugars and ferment. So 95.5 is one of those type of things. It's sort of like almost the most rye you could get and still do it.
And still make it work.
Still make it
It's
work.
the magic number.
95% rye, 5% malted barley. We started with that, but you weren't paying attention.
We were focused on what's in the glass. It's good. Yeah.
No, but thank you for making me reiterate that because that is important. But you like this one? I like the finish on this too. The finish goes a
Lingers.
long way.
Sticks with you.
All right, so there's going to be a couple different things that you may have not. Well, this one you probably have not had tonight. And when did the single barrel program start?
Great.
Because that's fairly recent.
It is. I want to say 2017 or 18, but I would have to double check on that one. Yeah.
Because
the newer,
and we're going to try some things tonight that you can't get anymore tonight. You're very lucky. This is a club. So one of our members, Megazone, has brought in some stuff of older stuff that no longer exists. You guys are going to get to try some cool stuff tonight.
That's so
and we'll
nice.
sort of get into that.
Cool.
But this first one you're going to try is Lock and Key's single barrel. Now, we sort of as a single barrel, Angel's Envy sends us a lot of samples, and we go through those and sort of pick. We tend to try to lean into the port finish because we figured that's what really makes this whiskey different than the rest.
Yeah.
And so we lean a little bit heavier into the port finish when we pick our barrels. The one that you're trying right now is called the Avenging Angel. And
such a good name.
I think we had Lost Angel. We had Lost Fallen Angel. We've had quite a different ones over the years. This was the Avenging Angel because we felt this one was back with a vengeance.
Hell yeah.
So you guys can try this. This is number 4 on your sheet. Okay. This one's a little bit different. This is the original recipe done in a single barrel style. It's not blended. There's different levels of port finish that are blended together. This is not any of those. It's a one single barrel, heavier on the port finish, and it's at 110 proof. So this is as close as you're going to get to a cask strength until we actually try cask strength.
Up next.
So try this one and see what you guys think.
Well, single barrels are just such a cool concept, right? We can't be drinking this anywhere else in the world, but here or at your house if you've bought one of these.
Now the thing is with single barrels is it's a very particular thing. You can't, if there's a flaw, you can't fix it.
Right.
If it doesn't meet your standard, you don't pick it because it has to be what you're exactly what you're looking for. There is no wiggle room here. There's no blending it out.
Yeah,
There's no doing
personal
anything.
choice.
Right.
Well, and it's like knowing where maybe that barrel was in the rick house and when it was pulled out. All those things are going to affect. Like I know this was pulled out in October.
Yeah.
So
and the
fall,
basic thing
chillier,
is, and for all of you that are trying this, just so you know, we don't go. We go into the stats after, but when we pick the barrels, we only pick by taste. So we do a blind.
Way to do it.
Not as a blindfold, but not knowing all the information.
How many do you try like next to each other? that a personal question?
No, well,
That's
we are really picky. So, and fortunately, Angels Envy knows this. We really try to like sort of stick to the what Lincoln Henderson was all about.
Yeah.
And we'll get sent 3 samples or 4 samples at a time. If we don't like anything, we'll ask for more samples.
Okay.
So,
But they're probably curating what they're sending, knowing
they're
that you're
always
kind of
curating
like,
what they're sending. But we I think for this one, we did. I think this one was out of the box. We out of the samples they sent us, we found
far
one.
and away the favorite.
The one before it was, which was we did one we called Lost Angel. We went through like 3 or 4 sample packs
Nice.
before we found the one we liked.
Research is finicky
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah,
you know?
I know. And we even met with the. I had conversations with the team of why we didn't pick certain ones because they were curious, like why aren't you picking that? Because like there was a flaw, there was this, there was, and that just helps everybody go back and
what
make
awesome
sure.
discourse to be able to have
So,
to make sure you keep
yeah.
getting things you're excited about.
And this is the same thing. We always felt that we wanted to stay true to Lincoln's sort of vision about this and how he was going about picking whiskeys for how he was going to do stuff. And like I said, a single barrel, I can't fix anything.
No,
That's it.
I've
That's
tried
it.
some that like they taste like stewed carrots and others.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, part of the fun.
What do you guys think of Avenging Angel? It's good, right? Not mad at it. Are you going to say you wouldn't kick it out of bed? Is that what you're saying, sir? Smoking? That gone. All right. Well, there's no smoke in this one, so you're safe. But you can see that you really get the influence of the port barrel in this one. This one, you really, I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah, that deep dark stewed fruit is like right.
And if you
right
look
there.
if you look at your mat, which is white paper, you can sort of see the coloration differences too, which is sort of neat too. All right, now this is 2024's Cask strength.
She has arrived
She has arrived.
at long last.
All right, and these are not readily available. They're very highly allocated. Oh, thank you. You can. That's number 7, right? Yeah. All right. You can take 6 away. All right. He's drinking 6. All right.
Following along.
Yeah, he's following along. All right. So this is the Cask strength. So what's the Cask strength this year? Well, or I should say 2024.
Yeah. So historically, it has been just a singular ruby port finish, bourbon. This year, Owen decided to put his own stamp on it and also blended into that tawny port finish. So it is a combination of the two.
Okay.
The ruby port finishes are anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So we're talking about perhaps something you would enjoy that more extended time in that used wine barrel. And then the tawny port, we're seeing about 6 to 8 months on the finish there. And he was just blending into, he sees himself.
Did you do them separate? Was he doing them separately in that blend?
So he sees himself, he honestly refers to himself as like our master blender, not our master distiller. That's how he likes to approach whiskeys.
Okay.
So that is definitely something that influenced his approach to this particular one. We're coming in at 118.8 proof, which I feel like anything below that 120 and that single cask strength, anything more than that, I kind of feel like a dragon, which like is cool sometimes. But for sustained enjoyment, I've really enjoyed the proof that this has come in on this year. So I'm excited.
Okay, so number 5 is the Cask strength, but two different finishes this year.
Yeah.
Or last year. We're so new into it.
2 different kind of ports.
Are you guys going to dueling questions over there? Oh, it's the same question. That makes it easier. So ask your question, sir. So how long? Just explain the process of the
I
blend.
Totally missed that part. Blew through that stop sign. My bad. So same approach, same base juice as the bourbon, but this is going to hang out in the barrels 8 to 11 years, and then potentially up to it's like 6 months to 3 years in that ruby port.
When it's done, it's done.
Yes, and then 6 months in the tawny, and then he's going to blend to his liking, and hopefully yours as well. But yeah, of course. Thank you for the reminder on that. Sorry about that, y'all.
You're just getting anxious to drink it. That's all. I get it. What do you guys think of this one? You like that? I do, to be honest with you, I do like the fact that they're using a different port and you can taste it.
It brings that cool nutty thing
Yeah,
beyond
there,
that
there's yeah,
fruity
there's
component.
right.
I also just love port, so I'm happy to see him
But you
diversifying.
get that deeper flavor of more of that like you said, that nuttiness to it.
Yeah, it's almost like a little bit of salinity too, like on the very back end, which you don't often find in whiskey, specifically finished ones. So yeah, it's
So I like that. I like the direction that he's going because it makes the cast strength release definitely outside of what your normal offerings are.
right. Yeah, before, I mean, the cast strength was cool before. It's a limited time offering,
Right.
but to have it be a version of something,
Yeah.
it feels
I
more,
like the deviation.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's more anticipation. You're like, what's he gonna do next, you know? And I
So
mean, he's got so many different things cooking to your point earlier about being under the Bacardi umbrella, right? We use those initial barrel fills once, we legally can't use them again. So we're sending them to Doers, we're sending them to Patron. Now we're at the point where we're starting to get those barrels back.
right.
We've got some really cool stuff coming out this summer. I think I'm allowed to talk about it.
No one's listening to us, so go right ahead.
But we're going to be doing a rye finished in extra añejo. Have you had the Pedrita?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of their barrels in. So he's got some really fun overproof stuff coming this summer
Nice.
with that
I
finish.
like it.
We got to try it at Kickball at our summit back in May.
All right. That
Yeah.
sounds great. I'm definitely curious. You'll have to send me some samples.
Hey, say less.
All right. Cool. All right. So that's our tasting. All right. That was the tasting. What's that? Wait. But wait. There is more. By the way, on that cast strength, if you want to add a drop of water to that, wait until you taste the other flavors that come out. You did it already? No, that's good. No, you jump ahead, sir. Jump ahead.
Hey, we invite
Now,
you to
wait a
enjoy
minute. If
this.
I hope you save some of the first one because I need you to go back and no, and that and no, that's. You want some more? I do. Number 6. Number 6 is going to be so. This is how I thought it was interesting, and Megazone brought this in for us to try. Brought two things in for a try. Thank you, sir. This is really cool, and I can't remember all the blending parts of this, but I will tell you this is actually a blend that we did. So before you could do a single barrel, you actually did blending of different components.
So Lincoln brought all that here to you, or did you go?
Yeah, this one,
there?
no, Lincoln, we did this here.
Okay.
This one, I don't know where we did this one because we've done several of them, so
Yeah.
I don't know this one.
Which
This one I
was?
think is one of the oldest ones he had. So the components, we blended the components.
That's so cool.
And so the blend, I can't tell you, like, I can't give you the specifics of what each one was, but there was 3 different sort of barrels to blend together. And so we basically came up with it was a 5% of the first one, 35% of the second one, and us leaning into the port, because I do remember the last one was the one was C that had the most port, was 65% of the port. And they were just varying degrees of the port finish. And you wanted to create, and what we tried to do, we're a land of extremes, right? Everybody wants to make the beer with the most hops. We want to make a whiskey with the most peat. We're constantly doing all of these type of things. Where the really thing that a lot of people come back to is something that's balanced, that doesn't have extremes.
Yeah, that you want to keep
That
enjoying.
that you can keep enjoying.
Yeah.
So I hope you try this one. See what you guys think. Our goal was to create a balanced, flavorful whiskey inside the vehicle that is Angel's Envy. Okay, so you can't do this anymore. So
I've never even heard of that being part of the program.
that's
so cool.
that's how far back we go. That's how old I am.
Historical.
I don't know when this one was, but it predates the barrel program, which was what, 2011?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. We have another one. I think that one is newer than the one I have in my hand. This is batch J4.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. This is bottle number 183.
Lucky number 183.
Lucky number 183. It's delicious.
Is.
It's Julio's 4th barrel. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like kettle corn, butterscotch. So good.
Yeah, I think this isn't. I think that I'm almost definite this is an older one that we did.
So they bring like different
different
levels
levels,
okay.
and then you
So
would
every
do
time it's different things.
right,
That
and
they
you
bring
would but they had a sort of a standard of levels of port sort of finish,
Yeah.
and then you would blend those. You would sit there with the like it's test tubes and make different batches to sort of figure out where you want it to be.
Okay.
And this is the one that we did, which was 5, 30, 65. That should add up to 100. Sometimes it doesn't, but usually does. What do you guys think? All right, I'm glad you like it. You can't get this one ever again. Well, but the thing is that like think about this. I mean, when you start doing stuff like this, you can only do a program so big because you're sending me like full bottles of samples of different styles, right? And I'm blending them together in a tube, and I'm coming up with a batch. Then I'm sending the batch percentages back.
Yeah.
They're gonna match up everything that which batches I had.
Yep.
To how much I want of each one,
Thank God
and
for
then putting it
spreadsheets,
together. Right, exactly, and then putting it together. I mean, you can't do that in across the country and do hundreds and hundreds of barrels that way.
No, it's super.
It's just
curated
way too complicated.
Yeah.
And they but that's what they were all about. It was supposed to be complicated. It was supposed to be recreating what what Lincoln was doing to your own taste.
That's so special.
All right. And the basic thing behind what we do is trust me, I don't do anything to my taste. I try to do things to your taste. And that's the whole thing. I want a lot of you to like it. So I'm trying to gauge in on what you guys would like. Because I'd have a lot of whiskey here, and I don't drink enough to make the weird stuff that like Randall, I, and John and Gio would like. We just don't drink enough. So a lot of people fall into that trap of making whiskey for themselves rather than for you. And so we always try to make it for you. So I hope you like it. Question? Yes. I sort of feel like the Supreme Court. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it or when I taste it because it is one. I'm sure there is. They don't want me there. But that is sort of where we go with a lot of the stuff is we always want it to be interesting. So quality and interesting. So I want my ultimate goal when we do things, my ultimate goal is really to seasoned whiskey drinker be appealing to the seasoned whiskey drinker, but not so weird that I won't get somebody new into the category. Because your tastes are going to change over time. I'm sure a lot of you here don't drink the same whiskey necessarily that you started with when you started getting into whiskey. I'll give my wife as a good example. She always liked the smell of whiskey, but she never liked it. She finally found one that she liked. It was like $400 a bottle. But anyway, she found one. But that was the one that clicked. And now she'll try other things, and she's found other whiskeys that she liked.
I mean, I think of it like learning to drink IPAs or coffee.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
over time.
People always say like White Zinfandel. Like White Zinfandel is, I don't like White Zinfandel. Like, oh yeah, but it introduced a ton of people to the category of wine.
Yeah.
People go, I don't like flavored whiskey.
Gateway, yeah.
All right. I really don't mind flavored whiskey as long as you can taste the whiskey. If you could have made that with vodka, then I am opposed to it. But if you can taste the whiskey, I'm all for it because eventually your taste will change where you want to taste the whiskey part and not the sweet part. Does that make sense? Because after a while, you get tired of sugar. Like the sweetness, you sort of get, as your palate develops, you sort of get tired of the sweetness. And so that's what makes things interesting. So to your point, it's always a thing that we're tasting and we're going, we know sort of where a category of consumer will like that. I've on occasion bought whiskeys that I knew a very certain group of people would like that we have that I know I could sell a barrel of it. And I know no one else would like it. But I know I had enough of people that would like that I bought that I would buy it. But for the most part, I'm trying to get everything so that anybody can pick this up and they will like it. And we go to a balance a lot. Balanced whiskey is one of those things we always shoot for. All right. Does that make sense? Every 7 years, John says your palate changes. I think it's every 7 years that your allergies change. As I'm 58 years old, I've gone through this now. For 7 years, I was allergic to shellfish. It is very selfish of me. I'm here. Yeah. Try the veal. Tip your waiter. But it's one of those type of things. Like living in New England, to be allergic to shellfish is one of the and you liking shellfish is one of
that's
the
tough.
worst things. I'm allergic to peanuts too, but I don't like the smell of those, so I'm okay with that. What's that? Circus peanuts? No, I'm good with circus peanuts. As a matter of fact, I have some right here.
Keep that thing on you, huh?
Well, you know what it is. Somebody gave me some, and because they know I like it, because circus peanuts are eternal, unlike pumpkin spice. They'll live forever. And those
It's more of a Twinkie situation. Right? They'll survive
those candy corn. You might as well chew crayons with sugar on it. So you guys know how I feel about that. I'm not even going in it. By the way, I saw a pumpkin spice yogurt covered pretzels the other day.
That was so many.
And after I cleaned up my lunch, I walked away. Now, all right. So the last one we have tonight. This is really cool. You're going to like this.
I'm excited.
You're going to like this. So this is 95% rye. So this is still that same thing. But this has to be one of the first. It's batch 10. So when Angel's Envy.
I'm going to text Angel and see if she knows what this is. Hold on. Can I take a picture of it?
Sure. I like the fact that we're doing Angel's Envy. She's texting an angel.
A literal earth angel.
Yeah, that label changed. I mean, now you got that green in there for the side of the rye. No one can really explain to me why rye is green, by the way. I like it because it's mint. That's what you're going with? That's your opinion? You're going to stick with it?
Let's see what she has to say.
But this is really one of the first, when they first started introducing the rye and the Caribbean rum casks. So you guys get to try it, which is great. And this one, by the way, is 100 proof.
Well, at least that stayed the same.
That stayed the same.
Yeah.
It's just an early version. It's a batch. It's batch 10, as a matter of fact.
So what we were talking about earlier, right? Like we can say with certainty that we're finishing everything in those Bacardi rum barrels. When we were first making this, it was like anything from the Caribbean that we could get our hands on.
I'm going to tell you right now.
We were happy to have. So this
is killer. Very different. This is killer, though. Batch 10 from Navarone, really? Really?
Mm.
So go back and try number 3. I'm kidding because they don't have any more 3. But just saying that. Try it against 3 if you have any left. No, I'm not giving you any more.
Like the rum's still there, but it's not as present.
This has more of that maple syrup.
Yeah.
A lot more of that maple syrup, right?
Less molasses, more maple.
More maple.
For sure.
Really, really cool. Northern Toast would be, yes. Northern Toast. You mean it would be golden bread? Is that what you're trying to go with? Golden bread. You know what golden bread is?
Absolutely not.
Golden bread is Canada's version of French toast.
Okay.
So it's just a little bit more eggy, but it's got that high cinnamon. We named a product that, and that's why. But we had one person that kept getting it wrong. Guess who?
I can't.
And kept going. Oh, it's like Northern Ryan. It's like Northern Toast. Ryan, it's like Northern Toast.
Canada is north. It's like
yes.
It's all good.
Thank God. Thank God. All right. Well, that's all we have for you to try tonight. Thank you so much, Alex. This was great.
This was really good.
This
Thank
was
you for
really
sharing
good.
so many fun wonderful things I've never seen in the wild before.
Thank you. You guys don't go anywhere. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody on Facebook. This was awesome. You really should have been here every Wednesday night, Julio's Liquors. But keep following us on Facebook Live, and you can go to It's the Liquor Talking wherever you get your podcasts and get these. If you have trouble falling asleep at night, great for that. So
With the
goodbye,
bar right next
everybody
to it.
on Facebook and.